Hi, it's Mrs. Rouse again, as you know, and this video is just to cover the second half of the syllabus. I'm going to be having you watch this closer to the end of the period, and so if it goes over the end of the class, this is just what you'll be doing for after class time, whatever. It is important information, and it's important that I did go through this information with you. Because you're going to need to be signing the last page anyway and sending it to me, you might want to go ahead and print one out and then stop the video right now and then have it in front of you while I'm talking, and then you can be looking at it, and it'll make it more interesting, I hope. Either way, you'll be printing one out so that you could send me a copy of the signature page. So I'm going to start from the front. We got through about half of it last time. It just talks about down here near the bottom, what's the mission of to fulfill the mission of the school. You know, what's the reason for this particular class? It's to enhance your God-given creativity, to introduce, experience, and apply a variety of drawing media. So check it out, see how you like it. To develop, excuse me, a thoughtful, logical approach. There's a lot of logic in art. It's amazing, and actually, to tell you the truth, I love it because there's a lot of problem solving, and I love that about art. To develop, to observe, understand, articulate principles and of elements in color and design, and how they apply. I'm not huge on testing you on these terms, but we need to be familiar with these terms. And to foster some group work. I'm hoping we can get back together, but if we don't, I'm going to find a way to do some group work either way. And to carefully consider a Christian worldview on art. I want you to be thinking of how do I produce art? What do I think of art? Is that any different because I'm a Christian? It says worldview and biblical integration. Some of the concepts, especially in my devotions, will talk about God being the master creator. God values aesthetics. It's an important thing. It's written about in the Bible, words like beauty and so on. So it's kind of cool. The arts can be used to bring glory to God and lead others to Him. We can serve God through our artistic gifts, so it's not like you're ungifted if you're an artist in God's kingdom. He made you gifted for a reason. And it's a godly principle to work hard in creating your very best, and God may be calling Christian artists to certain standards. So these are general things we talk about as a Christian as it comes up. Skipping down, it says course requirements. My class units tend to be like there's a new concept, there's maybe some new techniques or new materials, so we kind of do a couple practice things, and then we put it together in an assignment. So small project, big assignment, and it goes like that, learning, and then you kind of much more expressive with the big assignments. We have discussions, demonstrations, and so on. The class is progressive because you are learning about composition. You will always have a good composition when you design your artwork and so on. So as we move through the class, you're building with your art skills. First semester, composition, line, pencil techniques, value, shading, form, texture, pattern. We're going to talk about classic Western art history and artists, say from the Renaissance forward. And some art appreciation. Second semester, portrait and figure drawing, painting techniques, color theory. What happens when you put a little red shirt on a man walking through a green forest? Well, we'll talk about that. And perspective, linear perspective, and art history will be multicultural. It's really fun. And then we'll talk some about careers in art. Your homework assignments, there's 3 major homework assignment types. You have, first of all, the classes, you have smaller amounts of time in class, so I'm supposed to have you working outside of class on a usual, normal sequence of time. You have assigned homework assignments. You have sketchbook assignments, which are going to be about once a cycle. We don't have one this first week. In a small book. They're actually on order still, and then we'll try and get them to you. But if you don't have it for some reason, you would just use half a sheet of copy paper. And then the third type of homework is the art history presentations. Each person will be choosing a topic, and I'll explain what to do and so on. Those happen once a semester. That's the majority of your research type work for a class. Most of our class time is spent on projects. And in the syllabus, I've actually given you some dates for these things, so you can kind of see where they're located in your calendars. Other teachers start giving you dates. Finals, we will have a project final. You won't have a test, and it'll probably be completed before the final week, you know, those last days in class. Art appreciation, some of the things we do is we discuss current events. I have it says here we have art prints in the classroom. Well, you won't be able to see them, but I can talk about them and hold them up and point out things. I'll let you know if there's some art opportunities in the area. We subscribe to an art news magazine. We'll see how that works out. We'll try and visit the Norton site. We'll see about that. We might do the virtual museum thing we did in the spring. We'll just have to see. And then there's an event here on campus in the fourth quarter where you will there's artists come on campus and paint, and we can come and observe. So that's a fun thing too. Grading procedures. So there, in class, about 50 points each double block, so 100 points a week. You know, this first week, not that many points, but we'll get into going through things a little bit faster. And then, you know, everything is graded based on a rubric I have for you, and there's a copy of it here. You know, and even are you doing what I asked you to do? If we're all drawing a cow and you turn in a drawing of a Mercedes, you're not really doing the assignment. So even that was going to be obviously reflected in your grade. And some projects have really specific rubrics, especially if it's a written project, but other ones just refer to the general use rubric. Sometimes I have procedural things. For instance, having your name written on the artwork. If it's not there, I'm probably just not going to grade it. But sometimes I take off 5 points for things like that. Let's see. In the grade book, okay, this is going to be hard to get used to, and you're not going to like this at first. So we have an assignment. I have a due date. You hand it in. But because some of my students want to take a lot of extra time on their projects, I give you a grace period. It says here it's up to 2 weeks, and that students who are in the I guess diverse learners, this also encompasses you, so it works great for everybody. But what happens is it has a due date. By giving you 2 weeks of grace after that, I'm going to go ahead and grade things. In the grade book, it's going to say missing. It's going to count as if it's a 0, but you can still finish it and get it turned in. So you want to get things turned in by the due date. But if there's a reason why not, or if because your project's just over the top and you've been putting a lot of time into it, you can turn it in, you know, later. You missed a day, you got sick. That whole 2 weeks pulls in everything. If you are late after that 2 weeks, that's when we start cutting points off. If it has an actual 0, which I never give, if you give me something, you're getting some points. So if an actual 0 would mean that maybe you plagiarized, or you were for some reason suspended for a day or something, and then I'm not allowed to give you points for that day. So 0 really does mean 0, and you can't make that up, but I hardly ever give zeros. So late means you can do so. If it has a missing, means you can still work on it. You know, late, and it's just late, that's when you lose some points, and then it shows in the grade book why you have that lower grade. If you get an X in the grade book, for some reason you may have been excused for something that was kind of a simple assignment, and just because you weren't here or this or that, but it was something I said, oh, I don't think that can make up that one thing. So X doesn't affect your grade average at all. It's as if it never existed for you. Grade points add up all semester. I know you'll get used to that. The grading thing, I try to be extremely consistent because that's fair. I go out of my way to be consistent. And so just ask questions. If something happens, you don't know why you have a grade that you have or something. Your parents are not going to like getting used to this whole missing late thing, and then I give you a grace period, so you can refer back to the syllabus and tell them about that. The category percentages are, most of your points are in projects, another 55%, 20% is classwork, so those are projects, they're smaller things, and by the way, that's 75% right there, then homework 15%, and then 10% your final project. There's a couple things we'll have for extra credit. I haven't posted them yet. One of them is for if I happen to have some type of art show or art contest I'm telling you about, or you want to enter an art contest on your own, all you have to do is send me some type of proof you did that. That's 15 points extra credit. Like there's a Christmas card contest the school has, 15 points extra credit. And then there's a museum extra credit for visiting a museum. Obviously you can't do that now. I have a virtual one. I haven't posted it yet. Anyway, you can do these once a semester, these big extra credit assignments. I can't give you ongoing extra credit assignments or too many because it's not supposed to be too much of your grade. It has to be no more than 5%. So you'll get used to that. And then there's a due date. The latest you could turn in extra credits is December 2nd. Homework. One thing about being late on that is homework. The sketchbook, if it's late even a day, it's half off. The sketchbook needs to be turned on time. But these big class projects, you can have some extra time if you need it. The presentation, I'll talk about that when we do it. It loses 10 points a day. Obviously, if we're having a presentation, I need you to present, during the time we're expecting it. So you lose points right away if you're late on that. Okay, I'm trying to go fast. Maybe you don't agree with me. Check in because I do post that little letter on the bulletin board, and you go what happened in class that day, and it has links to things. Also in the grade book you see grades there. If you miss something or don't understand something, look in those two places. And if you're truly absent, like you can't even turn on a computer, then you can always ask me. What I would recommend if you're sick is, obviously not doing the work, but maybe you could just kind of sit in and kind of watch your classes and tell your teacher that, do you mind, I'm going to have the camera off. I'm excused absent today, but I'd like to kind of see what's happening. I would strongly recommend that. Accommodations for students with learning differences. I just want to encourage you, if that's you, Mr. Rouse and I, our logic is, my logic kind of goes like this. I have like big picture logic and it goes in and out. Mr. Rouse's logic's very linear. So everyone's different, and so anyway, I know that, and the way I teach is kind of I give you framework, but there's room there. So just let me know how you're doing. But because of the grace period policy, I think everyone's usually just fine. Take a look at this page, which has the general use rubric. You can see if something's actually of A quality over here, 90 to 100%, exceeds completion, a strong planning and demonstration of understanding, refined use of materials, exceeds requirements, creative and unique, those types of words. In the B thing is substantial completion, substantial planning, well crafted, evidence of control of the materials. So maybe you haven't mastered it or not, as much as I'm not expecting full mastery, it's a beginning class. But you're doing pretty good, completed as expected, and so on. And then if we start having a C, it's okay, it's pretty good. I can see you tried some planning, but you just didn't go extra. You didn't give me too much more of yourself. So take a look at these and the types of words I'm using for why, especially if something's just not done or not done very well or very minimally. That's when your grade really, really drops. So on the very last page, the signature page, it says some tips about being in my class. Just try to pay attention, follow instructions. Like right now, I'm giving it to you written and orally. Most of the time, I'll be giving you information lots of ways. So just kind of stay up on that. Most of the people who don't do well in class is because they're missing assignments. So you should be able to get an A or a B in my class, for sure. If you don't, you're missing assignments. So some of your assignments are going to be great, some are going to be a little bit more okay. Just maximize yourself, turn in everything, and I think you're going to do well. If you don't know something or understand something, ask me. Always give your best effort. I'd much rather have a super messy assignment with lots of changes and eraser marks and a cat bite in the corner, things like that. I'd rather see that than a very clean paper when there's hardly anything there. That's like low effort, whereas this other one is full of effort. Maybe it's not 100% successful, but full of effort. I can't ask for more than that. And then there's a note here to your parents. You're going to sign this, your parents are going to sign it. So go ahead and look through it and then take a photograph of this. This is your very exciting homework for the week. And then you're going to send it in to me. So thanks for hanging in there with the syllabus discussion.